And we've been working on all types of pre-Braille skills and all types of foundational skills for orientation and mobility.
So I'm paying attention. So your TBI work is, concept development, pre-reading stuff, right?
Absolutely.
And do you see that TBI, the O&M, is like connected in that way?
Absolutely, because when you're talking about a Braille style, you're talking about top, middle, and bottom, and when you're working with an O&M, on O&M skills, you're talking about things that are on top, or the bottom, or the left, or the right, so it's all very connected.
The O&M, has it been challenging in your career to work with this age group with the tools that you have at hand for safe mobility?
Absolutely. I find with the little guys that they're so cautious about moving forward because of course they don't know what's coming, and then when we try to introduce the standard cane, it's really about teaching them how to hold the cane, even not even using it in the right way, just holding it in their hand without throwing it or dropping it. So that's been a great challenge, having enough hands to help them hold the cane and then trail the wall or just walk forward in an upright position and still help them maintain the correct posture, because walking with a cane includes using correct posture and making sure that your body is facing forward and you're moving forward and you're taking reciprocal steps, and that's all really difficult when you're trying to help the student keep a hand on the wall and keep a hand on the cane, and so having the toddler cane has been so helpful because it's attached, and that's one less thing that I have to worry about.
Nice. When did you first hear about it? Or how did you hear about
I think it might have been Facebook. I think I saw it on Facebook and was so interested, and we were just really struggling with what to do with Anastasia. She's she's 3 and still so cautious when it comes to walking, and we were trying to figure out what is it. I was working closely with the PT and we're just trying to figure out, is she not walking because she doesn't have the muscle or the physical ability to do it, or is she not walking because she's so frightened about what's coming in her environment? So we were just doing a lot of research, and the toddler cane really was an awesome solution for us.
The physical therapist, then, in your feeling, is looking just as much as you are for a solution for these kids.
Absolutely. We worked so closely. The PT was fantastic, and we collaborated on a weekly basis. We did a lot of joint sessions, working together on posture and all the things that a PT does, and how we can incorporate that with the mobility piece. And really, our lines were so blurred that there wasn't a definite her lane and my lane. It was all both working together towards the same goal.
Nice. Has she worked with Anastasia now with the wearable cane on?
She has, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And what in terms of the physical therapy, is there room for the wearable cane to be a part of that therapy, or because they do stairs, right, and stuff like that, or
well, it's home based.
It's home based. Okay,
Yeah.
Got it.
And she did come to the school and work with me occasionally at the school, but we never attempted to do stairs with the cane. We found the steps. She loves the stairwell
Nice.
because of the echo in the stairwell. So at the preschool, that was her preferred place to go and make all the sounds there.
Yes. Is avoiding the stairs just part of it's difficult for stairs for Anastasia, period?
Absolutely, and
Yeah.
she's so fearful that we're trying to build positive relationships with her, and not, if it's not an absolute priority, we try not to push that envelope too hard, because we want to make sure that we're mastering the absolute priorities.
That's such an interesting thing. So it's very clearly in your minds, because you've said it several times today, there is an issue with fear or confidence. Mm-hmm. And where do you see the cane fitting into perhaps lessening some of that, or do you, the wearable?
Well, we try to have it so that like she gets more confident, because really it's just like she needs like that reassurance of like the hand, or like when she pushes the push cart, just like having something that she can lean on and that she knows will like not catch her, but you know what I mean, like just
Stabilize.
be there for her. And like when she's walking on her own power, obviously if you can't see, you don't know where you're going, and like she doesn't understand the concept that the cane is there for her to, you know, preview what's happening. So like, and we try to explain that to her, but I don't think she gets that yet. So
And I think she's really emergent with that. I think that developmentally she's right at this emergent place where she's understanding that her cane is making these sounds and it's finding the wall and it's finding the door. And we try to reinforce that with your cane has found the door, so now let's, you know, your cane has found the grass, now let's find it with your feet. And so I think that sometimes she's so fearful that she doesn't hear what we're saying to her. And so we work through that, and then we work through it again with the cane on. And I think it's just, she just needs that extra time to catch up with that. And once she has it, I think that we're not going to be able to hold her back. I think that it's just going to click. A light bulb is going to pop on for her, and we're giving her all these prerequisite skills and all these experiences so that when that light bulb does pop on for her, she's just gonna take off, and that's been her MO for all the things that we've done with her so far.
Is it IFSP at this age or IEP?
yeah, she's transitioning into IEP.
Right, with the 3, right? Okay. So what are the IEP goals? Have you written some for the wearable cane, or?
You would know.
Do you want me to talk about your IEP?
Yeah. I don't know the IEP
Well, I
yet.
mean, not the confidential stuff, but like, because it's such a new kind of a thing, or is it just a cane, but it's wearable, so it's a similar kind of a thing?
So we have written some draft goals for O&M, and what we wrote was not necessarily that we didn't specifically say a wearable cane. We said a device to preview her environment. And so we would have a lot of flexibility, because within the next year we might want to start introducing a different type of cane. So our goals are to find objects with the cane and to move around the objects and to detect drop-offs and to detect surface changes. So those are really the basic goals that we have for her as far as her cane.
And as far as time in the cane, wearing the cane, is that a goal as well, or have you thought about that?
I haven't thought about, sometimes we'll do a goal to increase time when there's a resistance
Okay.
to holding it or to wearing it, but I don't really see her having a resistance to having the cane on.
Okay.
I see the resistance to independent walking.
Yeah.
And so I hadn't considered that because I didn't think it was a need.
That makes sense. Yeah, that makes good sense. So in terms of time, days, how many days out of the 7 days do you think she will wear it? Or is it that she really hasn't because it was too long? Like,
She hasn't really worn it because it was too long. Yeah.
Too
Whenever
long.
we would try to put it on, she just, I mean, you saw she refused.
so we had it for a while. We used it at school,
Yeah.
and we saw some stuff there.
Absolutely. So 2 days a week I saw her. She went to preschool 2 days a week, and I saw her 2 days a week at preschool, and she wore it every day at preschool.
Okay.
And at half an hour to an hour, she would have the cane on.
Neat.
And then when she's in school, the expectation is anytime she leaves the classroom, she'll have her cane on.
Neat. And inside the classroom, it's more of a seated activity situation, or?
Well, we haven't gotten to the actual school day, but in preschool, she took her cane off when she came into the classroom because she was either playing on the floor or sitting at the table with the kids.
Nice. And she's not one to really self-start around.
She needs a prompt.
She will need to be prompted and started.
Yes.
So it's not so much a danger that she would just suddenly get up and go somewhere.
No, it wouldn't be exciting if she did.
If she wants to, she will.
Does she do
Like
that at
at
home? Yes.
home, like at home, she pretty much wants to do her own thing. Like she won't let me play with her. Yeah, no, she just like sit down and just like we'll play with her toys, spin in circles, go into the kitchen, spin in more circles, and then like this is my mother-in-law. Sorry.
Hi. How are you doing?
Great, thanks.
I'm having little issues, so I'm just double doing in case one is not working.
Anastasia, when she's at home, is extremely independent and will do exactly what she wants, and she will go room to room. She won't stay in the same room. Lately, what she's been doing when she does want somebody to go with her is she'll come over, like, because I'm at their house a lot, and she will come over to me or to my husband and she'll say walk, and then we have to get up and go with her, because she does want to walk somewhere, but she'll get one of us and say walk, and she won't stop until somebody gets up and walks with her to the other room.
Yeah.
I do
Wow,
know.
that's wonderful.
I'm not sure if Natalie, I'm sure Natalie does remember this, but a long time ago, and by a long time ago, I would say at least a year ago, she was walking way more independently a year ago, steps on her own, on a consistent basis. And then sometime during the school year, we don't know what happened. Something happened at preschool. We don't know what, since she can't tell us,
Right.
and nobody else would tell us. And suddenly she would not, at first she would not even put her feet down. She would come over to us and she would not even go anywhere unless we were holding her. And then when we tried to put her down, she'd, like a baby, draw her knees up and not even want to put her feet down. So it took us several months to get her to even put her feet back down on the ground. But something happened.
Yeah.
Whether she fell, whether
Right.
we don't know.
Right.
But she is walking a lot more, and now that she can use her words,
Yes.
she's really exploring more and feeling like she can walk in an open air space, because at that time when she was walking independently, it was a year ago February, because I remember we went to look at new cars and we were in this big open air area where she used to love to walk because there was nothing in the way, and she just wouldn't. So she likes to know her surroundings, and when she does, she'll walk at my house, she'll walk at their house.
Yeah, if she knows the area, she'll walk.
So when you're saying walk, she'll walk 4 or 5 steps. She'll walk across the room without help. She'll crawl. What are we thinking?
Not anymore.
She'll crawl.
She'll walk 3 steps.
Yeah. The most she's ever really walked independently is 3 steps, yeah.
But what I'm saying is she was doing that she was doing that a year ago February, and then stopped doing it. But she'll walk a few independent steps if one of us lets go of her and she hears us calling, like if Shane and I are right there and I pull my hands out of her hands and Shane's going, come here, I'm right here, come here. She won't take more than 3 steps on her own. She has to know that she can grab something.
Sure.
It's devastating that the cane was too long and we really didn't get a chance to send it to you. I can appreciate what you're saying though. And for the camera, please tell me your first and last name and spell
My
it.
name is Andrea Eiler, and I'm Natalie's paternal grandmother.
Nice.
Anastasia.
Andrea,
Anastasia.
Andrea.
Oh yeah, I'm not Natalie's. I'm Natalie's mother-in-law. Wow.
That's a wonderful one.
We'll have to fix that.
How do you spell Andrea?
Andrea.
Wonderful. Have you seen her use the wearable cane?
I saw her, yes, Becky was down in my art barn the other day, and I thought she was doing a really nice job with it. She was giving Becky a hard time, but Becky held her ground, which was good. And okay, I should tell you that I've been a teacher in Frederick County for 43 years,
Okay.
and have seen many IEPs, and work closely with the special ed team, and I have dealt with 2 totally blind students, but at an older age,
Okay.
not at a preschool age. They were already in elementary school or middle school, and Anastasia. Let me change that. Like, I have spoken with my special ed staff a lot about her starting school, because I'm not an expert on itty bitty little ones, and it's a real challenge for me to see her struggle, and yet I know she has to. And like Becky even said to me, it's hard for me to watch when she's throwing a fit, because I want to just comfort her and say it's going to be okay. But my special ed teacher, Tracy Moore at my school, said to me, you have to make her, you have to let her struggle, and you have to let her get frustrated, because if she doesn't get frustrated and keep trying, she's just not going to do it. So that's hard from an emotional
Of course, and of course it's a balance. Obviously, Becky's only going as far as Anastasia will allow.
Yeah, that's the other part.
Yeah.
Anastasia really will let you know when she doesn't want to do something, and and it's part of the problem. She won't do it unless she will do it. Like,
I love that.
like with walking or talking or anything, like it's not until she wants to that it'll click.
She's very independent, and she loves all done. Like when she will tell me all done, and we've worked, I'd say for the past 6 months teaching her almost done. But she will go into that all done thing, and that means she has shut down and she is all done.
Okay.
We're working on, but do you see, and I want to hear from all of you, your real honest thoughts about currently it's not going to work because, or why can't we do more wearable cane? Like what is the drawback? And if it's too long, that's a drawback, right? If it's falling off, if it gets in the way, it doesn't make sense. Like where do we need to improve as well to like sort of see, like, is it the messaging? Like, I don't know, like, because I really feel this way, but do you feel that way? Would you be convinced of that wheelchair analogy with safe mobility? Let's start with you, Becky.
I think that part of the reason that Anastasia hasn't been wearing her cane more consistently is because of the puzzle piece of services. So right now we have different people kind of providing service at different chunks of time. So there isn't one consistent, it's a consistent team, but we're not exactly all together like we would be in the school. So I think when she starts school in the fall, I think that we're going to see there's going to be a greater expectation that this cane is going to be on. And the IEP is going to, the IEP already has the accommodations where she wears it daily. And there's more legal ramifications. If the IEP says she has to do it, then legally the team's expected to do this and put it all together and make this happen. So I think we're going to see more consistency with the team. It's easier to provide professional development to a team when they're all in one place and everybody's working together on a daily basis and everybody's in the same space every day at the same time. So I think those factors are going to create an environment where everybody's working towards the same goal more consistently, and the cane's going to be on. She's going to be expected to go to the front office to turn in attendance, and she's going to be expected to wear a cane. So I think that aspect is going to improve. From our end, that's going to improve the wearable cane. I think at this point, we've had a little bit of trouble with it being too long when we were wearing it at school, and it kind of got caught up before, so it would get caught up on the chair. But then it would be 4 steps until she could get to the chair. So managing that was difficult. But she did it, and she was just learning how to kind of turn it so that she could get to the door, she could get to the chair. And the other thing that it would turn on her whole body. So at some points it would be diagonal to her body, and she would be like against the wall, and the cane would be over here. I see less of that now, but the cane is shorter, so that's really
awesome.
Yeah.
Good, yeah. So it's really a combination of factors.
Absolutely.
In this early prototyping time, right, Mom? Like, it's not working at home. Tell me about that.
Yeah, well, I think mostly the thing that it was too long. We haven't really tried the new one yet, so we'll see.
Yes.
But like I noticed sometimes also that like when she turns, it doesn't really turn with her. That sometimes is an issue, or like it'll like just get in the way. Like when she's like up against something, like if she wants to go like to a door that's closed and she can't get to the door because the cane's in the way. But that's going to be an issue either way because the cane's always going to be in the way.
But it would be helpful if the design allowed her, once it stopped her, if she wanted to get closer.
Yeah, like
and that's a goal of ours.
Like,
it's absolutely a goal.
Yeah.
That we could be more like a cane in that way.
Yeah.
Because it's so hard with being 2 steps away.
And I think too, though, that's even with a standard rigid cane, when you find something, you have to move the cane so that you can get to the door. So I think that's a skill that we're going to build. That's something that we have to teach her, a strategy that when you find that, you have to pick up the cane and turn it. And that will transition into the regular cane when she's ready for that.
You mean turn her whole body, right? Or try to push the cane so it moves
Well, she's
on her.
going to turn the cane and she's going to turn her body so that she can then, if she comes to the door, or the elevator was another one that she loved, when she got there, she realized that she had to turn her cane and turn her body, and then she can put her hand on the door.
Yeah.
So, but that's something that skill will then generalize into a regular cane.
And at home, and also in any sort of way of understanding, is there an underlying belief in some value to doing without for the blind child, like somehow physically, bodily connecting with collisions being the connecting, contacting, stumbling, like where's the value in that? Right, for the blind child, like Anastasia, who really light perception, some color, but she really can't see where she's going. There's been some kind of old wives' tale, that that's going to make them stronger. It's going to make them better able to deal with the world by just learning to walk. And
yeah, she kind of needs both, I guess, like, because that is the way she, like, knows areas. Like, she'll come up against the wall, she's like, okay, the wall's there, I'll turn around. So, like, and once she knows the location, she knows it. So, like, we can go, like, anywhere. And, like, perfect example, she had a sleep study last Friday, and it was at Mount Washington, where she goes every week. Or, not every week, every, like, other week for feeding therapy. But it was a completely different thing, but we were in the same area, and she knew exactly where we were, even though we didn't even tell her we were at Mount Washington. Like, and she knew where she was. She knew how to get around the waiting room. Like, so, yeah, once she's somewhere, she knows where it is. So, like, if, you have that first initial, like, okay, oh, here's the wall, oh, here's, a table, oh, here's something else, then, like, she knows what she's doing.
so when you say she knows, does that translate into then she no longer bumps into those things? Or is that, how do you define that? Like, she finds the things.
Like, she'll know where she is. So, like, if she knows that there's a door over there that she wants to go play with, she'll go to the door. Like, if she knows that there's a table over there, she'll go to the table.
And there's less of a crash bang. She's able to locate
Or,
it.
like, she'll like, run, crawl over there, but then, like, she'll start slowing down when she knows where she is.
I was gonna say, she moves cautiously. Like, she knows how far she can go when she's in open space, and when she gets closer to objects, she senses that there's an object and she slows down. Because, like, at my house, like, we have a family room and there's, like, a big open area in the middle, but there's a hearth. And she'll go scooting, like, across the floor, and when she's getting nearer to the hearth, she slows down. Like, she really doesn't bump into things. Or if she does, it's very gently.
Yeah.
Like, she'll kind of know and slow down, and it'll just kind of nudge her, and then she'll turn. I wanted to address something that you were saying about the cane, and this is something that,
Oh, good.
when she was younger and had, I don't know what you would call it, but, it looked like a little lawnmower, only it didn't have
Yes.
a lawnmower, it just had that bar. She loved that. She was doing really well with that, walking around with that, and then it would bump something. And I think that the wearable cane, she has always been such an independent child. And we think that's because she spent the first 6 months of her life having to learn how to entertain herself because we weren't able to interact with her. So she requires...
She was like in ICU or something, or yeah.
She has a whole...
Yeah.
It's a whole
Just because the hospital kind of kept you from her.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not because you.
Oh, not that we weren't sitting here staring at her.
Yeah. That's what I meant. I understood.
But when she had that little pushy thing, she would push it, and she could use it if she bumped into something to turn. Here's the thing. It was so freeing that when she wanted to walk somewhere and get somewhere, it was good. But often, since she was a toddler, she would want to sit down and play with her toys. And she loves to spin. So she has to sit and spin. So when she's walking and then wants to spin and she's wearing this thing and play with her musical toys or whatever, she can't. But the other one, she could let go, sit down, do what she wanted, then get up, and then start walking again with it. So I'm just wondering.
She talked about, like, the walker that she would use
Yeah,
in the first part.
like, she really was enjoying that, and she enjoyed it outside as well as inside because it gave her the independence to say, and now I'm going to sit down, and now I'm going to play with this. But when she's wearing that thing, she's walking, and, she can't decide, well, now I think I'll just sit and get on my sit and spin and go in circles. Like, it's confining. And being as she doesn't walk in great, like, she's not had to walk up to the office yet, or not had to, go out in the hall and put her stuff in her locker. Like, she doesn't have the opportunity to walk in great distances.
Right. Right. It's an interesting concept because it's certainly one that is brought up as an option to think about, right? Like, what should we do about that?
Like, you know, I'm just imagining like there would be some way, because it's rigid and it's down here, that, you know, there'd be some little button like an umbrella. You know how you hit your umbrella and it all collapses?
Well, they actually have a magnet now that detaches, so like if a kid could figure out how to detach it, that would probably be a good way.
Well, not just detach, like you can't sit down, you know what I mean? Like, and in school, you don't always sit in your chair, especially people her age. They do. They're on the carpet. It's circle time. It's like you have to get up and down. So
Well, it shouldn't restrict her too much from sitting anymore. If
maybe
it
it's
did.
because it was too long.
Maybe. And getting back up sometimes is a little more finesse, especially when it's too long. But I agree with you that if it is restricting a child from sitting and standing at that age, that would be really inconvenient. As far as getting on the spinner, it has this thing. I mean, there might be a way to do it. I just think you're right that at some point there might be, you know, there's a balance of on and off, and I hear that. I definitely am hearing that. Like, there are going to be times when you just want to take it off and let them interact with the thing. Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
You know, like everything has to do with developmental ages, and you know, she's clearly not on the developmental age of, like, you know, over 3 years old. She's somewhere younger than
18
that.
months or 2 years.
Yeah, because I do see her hitting developmental stages and moving from one thing to another, but I don't know, being as she has so many challenges, when to expect that she'll be able to do these things. And I have to tell you, like, you have to realize, like, for us and her whole extended family, the mere fact of all the things she's doing is so much more than we were ever given the hope that she would be able to do. We are all just so happy and thrilled of the things she could do, because when she was born, we were not given this optimistic. We were given a very, very pessimistic outlook, to the point where they had questioned us as a family, with both sets of grandparents and parents in there, about letting her go, and we were all like, oh no,
my
no.
word.
I'll never stop hearing the words when they called us all in at Hopkins, and there must have been 20 of us in the room, and they said to all of us, I think you need to decide when you're doing things to her as opposed to for her. And Fran, the other grandmother, and I just looked at each other, and we were like devastated. I couldn't even look at Natalie in shame. So I'm just saying, this girl has defied the odds and is such an inner strength and is such a willful child. I don't mean in a horribly bad way. Sometimes.
It's a good thing.
She is. She has goals for herself, and when she wants to do something, she does not want you to do it for her. She wants to do it herself, and she's going to hit, like Becky was saying earlier, when the light bulb comes on for her, it's going to come on. It's not quite on. She's reaching for it now. She's got that switch in her sight, but it's not quite there.
This thing is driving me crazy. Yeah, I know, and it's such a touching story of premature, right? She was premature.
No, she was full term. She was born with a congenital diaphragmatic hernia, so she had a hole in her diaphragm that her intestines and a little bit of her spleen were up in, and it was taking up the space that her lung needed to develop. So her left lung is actually like half the size, less than half the size it should have been when she was born. Now it's almost full size, so it's good now. But yeah, so that was the main thing, and they couldn't get her stable enough to go to surgery. Like, and she coded, and that was when they had that conversation of, are we doing things for her?
Her one lung that was working started to hemorrhage because it was overworking to keep her alive.
Right.
So it was bleeding, and there was nothing we could do but hope that it would stop.
Yeah.
There's nothing you could do.
Try it.
That would only be part of the problem.
And so, just apart from that, she's visually impaired. Like, that's not even connected.
Yeah, I mean, it's all under the umbrella of the genetic condition that she has. Like, so the CDH came with that. Then she also has an issue with her brain. She has agenesis of the corpus callosum, which the fibers connecting to half the brain aren't there. So that also affects mobility, because a lot of times kids with that don't have the coordination between the left side and the right side of their body.
Okay.
So she actually has somehow overcome that, because she's pretty coordinated. Somewhat. I mean, she does kind of stumble, and she is kind of like, shaky, but
Right, but right. I mean, overall, no, yeah.
And she has some skills that are way beyond her years, have always been. Well, she wasn't able to speak or talk or suck or anything because she had all these tubes and everything on her until she was
she had the G tube now, because she doesn't eat orally. So.
But I mean, like, she couldn't make noise. She had tubes up her nose and down her throat and everything. But ever since she had them removed, we noticed the most interesting thing about her. This is so awesome. She can sing. She doesn't use words. She just makes up syllables. She is spot on her pitch. My husband is a singer. She has perfect pitch, and she has perfect rhythm and perfect beat. And she can hear a song not even once. She can start singing along with a song that is just on the radio right now that she's never heard before, and she will be on the pitch, and she will pause at the right places, and she will be on the right beat. And like, just little examples, like,
This is so exciting.
No, it brings you to tears. It brings you to tears.
I mean, she's got a career going already. Come
Like,
on.
I would be pushing her to the park or something, and I would just give her my phone to listen to music, and just put music on, just anything music. And then I'm like, oh, our children's singing on that tape. And then I lean down, and it's her. She's singing with it. And I know it has something to do with, the right and left halves of her brains. Like, whereas she does not have her words,
Right.
she has this musicality that is so far advanced for her age. Like, adults wouldn't be able to stay on pitch like she can. And she knows when to stop, she knows when to pause, she knows when to begin. Shane had, what is it, Star Trek? What is that march?
Oh, the Star Wars Imperial March. She started singing that when she
Dun,
was
dun,
like,
dun, dun,
like
dun,
9 months
dun,
old.
dun. She's just, I was like, what is she doing? It's uncanny. And she calls, Natalie's parents have taken her to some concerts, like.
The BSO has a toddler series that they do where it's like ages like 6 months to like 3 or 4 years, and like they just do like, it's in like the front like hallway or like lobby of the BSO, and they have like certain themes. So like they'll have like an under the water theme where they like saying stuff about fishes and stuff like that, and they'll like focus on a certain set of instruments. So like the one time we were there, they had like the string instruments, so they had a cello, a violin, a viola. Another time they had like the brass instruments, so they had like a trumpet and a French horn and a tuba or something like that. So like they do different things, and so like it introduces kids to the instruments, and then at the end of it they can kind of go up and like see them and touch them and stuff like that.
She loved it.
But here's what she does. She calls because we all get together a lot. My husband is kind of a silly guy, and he taught her all the animal sounds. When she sees us as a couple, when Kevin and I show up to see her, we'll say like, "Hi, Anastasia, it's Nana and Papa," and she'll look right, she'll turn to us, she knows where, and she'll say, "Oh, oh, oh, ee, 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 ee." We are monkey sounds. When her parents show up, she does da 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 da. I'm like, okay, great, we're monkeys, and her parents are like classical monkeys.
Yeah, no, this is the.
Do you see how she slowed it down?
She's 9 months old in that?
Yeah. Oh, well, how that was. Oh wait, no, she wasn't 9 months old. That was February 2007. She was 2 years old. But she
She's still
She
little.
had done it.
She's still little, right?
But did you hear?
I mean,
She
come on.
sang it in one
I
time,
heard
and
it.
then she
Yeah,
sang it in halftime.
I'm not saying anything about the age. I'm saying, yeah, I got it.
But I think that's a testament to her ability to put schemas together.
Yeah.
So she has these schemas with Nana and Poppy, and then with the other sets of grandparents, and each person has their own schema, but soon those schemas are all going to connect. And
Yeah.
she's going to have, instead of having these little pockets of information and environment, she's going to have this humongous map of all of her environments. She's going to put them together and interchange them. And I think that we're just giving her all these experiences so that when that happens, she's just going to, I know that she's just going to take off and be this amazing person who happens to be blind.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if there's, like, I don't have them labeled, so I don't know, like, which ones are her singing. I have a ton of videos of her when she was younger.
That's beautiful. Yeah,